In a small town nestled in the mountains of Asheville, North Carolina, 14-year-old Ava Thompson lived with her grandfather in a modest home filled with old tools, squeaky floorboards, and the smell of motor oil. Her grandfather, a retired mechanic, had raised Ava ever since her parents died in a car accident when she was only 6. Though life had been tough, Ava had developed a rare gift. She could fix almost anything. By the age of 10, she was repairing her neighbors' lawnmowers, rewiring lamps, and building simple gadgets out of scraps. Her school's tech lab had become her second home. But Ava wasn't just smart, she had heart. While other students rushed home to watch TV or hang out with friends, she stayed behind, tinkering with wires and motors, dreaming of inventing something that would matter. She just didn't know that her life was about to take a turn the moment she met a little boy named Liam. It was a Saturday afternoon when Ava volunteered at the town's Spring Smiles community event. She was setting up booths with other high schoolers when she noticed a young boy sitting quietly near the edge of the playground. His name tag read Liam, and he looked about 6 years old. His bright eyes followed the other kids as they ran past laughing, but his little hands rested still on the arms of a bulky wheelchair. Ava approached him and knelt down. "Hey there, you like cars?" she asked, nodding toward a group of kids racing toy trucks nearby. Liam smiled shyly. "Yeah, but I can't play like that," he whispered. His mother stood behind him, gently pushing the chair forward. "He has a rare spinal condition," she explained. "He can't use his legs, but he loves anything with wheels." Ava nodded, her heart heavy. She smiled at Liam again, but deep inside, something had shifted. That image of a boy left out not by choice, but by limitation haunted her all night. That evening, Ava sat alone in her room, surrounded by blueprints and wires. She couldn't stop thinking about Liam, the way his eyes lit up when he saw the toy cars, but dimmed when he realized he couldn't join. Ava pulled out a whiteboard and began sketching furiously. What if she could build him something, not just a toy, but a real, working mini vehicle, one he could control by hand? A ride-on car tailored exactly for him. "It has to be safe, light, easy to control," she muttered. She listed out parts she'd need: a small battery, an old electric scooter motor, a joystick, seat padding, and safety harness. Her grandpa peeked into the room. "Late night invention again?" he asked, smiling. Ava looked up. "Grandpa, I want to build a car for a boy in a wheelchair." He paused for a moment, then nodded with pride. "Then let's do it right." The next few days, Ava rummaged through scrapyards and community bins. She found an old electric wheelchair frame and a busted Power Wheels Jeep someone had thrown away. Her teachers allowed her to stay after school in the tech lab, where she repurposed a Raspberry Pi to control a joystick interface. She 3D printed the dashboard buttons and used soft rubber from discarded bicycle handles to create padded grips. Every evening, she and her grandpa worked in the garage, assembling, rewiring, and welding pieces together. "You're building more than a car, Ava," he said one night, tightening a bolt. "You're giving that boy something to look forward to." She smiled, though her hands were blistered and her eyes burned from staring at schematics. She wasn't doing it for praise or grades. She was doing it for Liam and maybe a little for her own healing, too. 3 weeks later, the mini car stood finished in their driveway. It was painted red and black, had a padded seat with a full seat belt, and, for sturdy wheels that could ride over grass. The joystick controller had speed limits built in, and Ava had installed a horn that played a cheerful little tune. She called it Freedom 1. Her grandpa gave it a test spin using a stick to steer the joystick and nodded in approval. "Ready? For the road." The next day, after school, Ava wheeled the mini car into a trailer and drove with her grandpa to Liam's house. The boy's mother looked stunned when they pulled up. "You built that?" she asked. Ava nodded. For Liam, the little boy was helped into the seat, his hands trembling as he grasped the joystick. With a soft whir, the car rolled forward. Liam burst into laughter. He zipped around the driveway, turning slowly and confidently, his face glowing. Neighbors gathered to watch. Some clapped, some cried. "He's never moved like this before," his mom said, wiping tears from her cheeks. "He looks so free." Ava stood back, smiling so hard it hurt. In that moment, all the late nights, burns, frustrations, and failures felt worth it. Liam wasn't just riding a toy, he was part of the world again. And Ava knew, deep down, this was just the beginning of something bigger. But she had no idea that a single act of kindness would soon open a door she never expected, a door with tinted windows, gold trim, and the sound of a limo pulling into her driveway. Ava thought the moment Liam drove the minicar would be the best part of her story. And for a while, it was. The joy on his face, the pride in her grandfather's eyes, the grateful tears of Liam's mother, those memories stayed with her long after she returned home that evening. But what she didn't know was that a neighbor had captured the entire moment on video and uploaded it online. Titled "Teen Girl Builds Minicar for Disabled Boy," the video went viral overnight. Within 24 hours, it had over 2 million views. Comments flooded in. "She's the future of engineering." "This brought me to tears. Where can we donate to support her?" Ava had no social media presence, no website. She didn't even know it had happened until her science teacher pulled her aside the next day. "You're trending on the internet," he said, "and you might want to check your email." At first, Ava thought it was a joke, but when she logged in, her inbox had nearly 300 unread messages, journalists, influencers, even an assistant from Tesla requesting an interview. But the one that stood out was from someone named Clara Myers, executive director of the Make It Matter Foundation, a nonprofit known for recognizing young changemakers and giving them the resources to go further. The email was short but powerful. "We saw what you built. We believe in your heart and your hands. We'll be in touch." Ava read it 3 times, unsure whether to scream or cry. That evening, as she sat in the garage, staring at the now empty trailer that had carried Liam's minicar, a black limousine pulled quietly into their gravel driveway. Her grandpa came out onto the porch. "You expecting royalty?" he joked. Ava shook her head slowly. The door opened. A well-dressed woman in her 40s stepped out, holding a slim leather folder. She walked up the porch steps with a kind smile. "Ava Thompson?" she asked. Ava nodded. Nervously, "I'm Clara Myers, from the Make It Matter Foundation." She handed Ava the folder. "Inside is an invitation to our Young Inventors Conference in Silicon Valley. All expenses paid, and a scholarship to any engineering program of your choice when you're ready for college." Ava's mouth fell open. Her grandpa leaned on the railing, blinking away tears. "She's only 14, he said. Clara smiled. "That's why it matters now." Ava opened the folder slowly, her hands trembling. Inside was a flight itinerary, a conference pass with her name printed in bold, and a personal letter from the founder. "The world needs more people like you. Come share what you've built." Within a week, Ava and her grandpa were boarding a flight to California. It was her first time on a plane, her first time leaving North Carolina, and her first time feeling like maybe, just maybe, she was meant for something bigger than small-town garages. When they arrived at the conference center, Ava was stunned. Hundreds of young inventors filled the hall, some with robots, others with AI prototypes, 3D printed prosthetics, and solar tech. She felt small at first, unsure if she belonged. But when her turn came to present, she rolled out a replica of the mini car she'd built for Liam, this time enhanced with voice activation and Bluetooth controls. "It's not just about tech," she told the audience. "It's about giving kids like Liam freedom. It's about building access to joy." The crowd gave her a standing ovation. Ava's story quickly became the heartbeat of the conference. Industry leaders approached her, offering mentorships. A university professor said he'd reserve a place for her in their robotics program. A startup CEO offered to sponsor her next 5 projects. One man from a mobility tech company said, "We've been working on accessible vehicles for years, but you just reminded us why we started." Ava smiled politely, but deep down, all she could think about was how none of this would have happened if Liam hadn't smiled when the wheels turned for the first time. After the conference, as the limo drove them back to the hotel, her grandpa turned to her and said, "This world's lucky you didn't stop at sympathy. You chose action." Back in Asheville, Ava's return felt like a celebration. Local news covered her story, and the mayor gave her a community award for innovation. But Ava didn't get distracted by the spotlight. She got back to work. With donated tools, a new laptop, and grant money from the foundation, she transformed her garage into a mini lab. She began building more mobility devices for kids in her town. Within months, Freedom One became Freedom Series, a line of affordable, customizable, ride-on vehicles for disabled children. She involved local teens in the builds, turning it into a volunteer movement called Wheels of Hope. Every time a child took their first independent ride, Ava felt a deeper kind of success than any award could offer. Years later, Ava Thompson would go on to become the founder of one of America's leading companies in pediatric mobility innovation. She spoke at universities, advised nonprofits, and funded scholarships for other girls in tech. But whenever anyone asked where it all began, she never said Silicon Valley. She always said, it started in a garage, with an old screwdriver, a big heart, and a little boy who just wanted to play.